Hello and welcome to Undercommon Taste. This is a podcast where we create and discuss homebrew content for tabletop RPGs.
I like the cut of your jib. What's a jib?
I'm Ian Woodworth. I'm joined by my co-host James Daly, and today we're doing a topic that has been requested by my lovely wife.
Oh, so we had to do it.
Yeah. She said, you guys should do an episode on this, and for reasons of marital bliss, I am contractually obligated to listen to her ideas from time to time. So the background on this, I had found and read to her this meme that has been floating around the internet for a long time. I can't remember the first time I saw it. I think it was probably back in TTRPG Twitter, probably around late 2020, early 2021.
Okay.
And it's just a screen cap from a Tumblr post from a user named Philosophy Shit Scribble.
A great name.
Yeah, I agree. And so the post simply states, I want to play a tabletop RPG where my 6 stats are Gumption, Chutzpah, Moxie, Childlike Wonder, the Cut of My Jib, and a certain je ne sais quoi.
That's just fun to say. I would totally put my stats in je ne sais quoi.
Yeah. And so I brought this up to James and I'm like, hey, Kate wants us to make a game out of this. And so we've been brainstorming for a week or so and coming up with some ideas. And we've been talking a little bit before we started recording, and we have gone in very different directions with our ideas. So James,
as we normally do.
As we normally do. And that's one of the great things about collaborating is you come up with vastly different ideas and then you come together and you pick apart, what we like, what we don't, and what will work together. So I'm going to go ahead and let you explain what you were thinking along the lines of first.
So when I heard this, the first two things I thought of was almost making this like a trading card game or a deck builder, something like Pokemon, where each of these stats would be like your element type or energy level and, do a 6-way Rochambeau and developing it that way. It was either that or developing it up something like a cipher system. We could use RSO or even going back to something like One Shot in the Dark and using playing cards to build out our map, but having each of these being a player stat and whatever quote character type you picked, we could develop what those were, would have a bonus die roll for some or a negative die roll to your opposite stat, whatever that may be. Again, the cipher system, you generally get a pool of dice you roll, and you're looking for a number of successes or a number of failures to determine the effects of the roll.
I think you're thinking about Forged in the Dark.
Okay, is that what that one is?
Yeah, Forged in the Dark is you have a pool of D6s and you roll them and you pick out the highest roll to determine your level of success.
Okay, that might be it then. I might be also just like smooshing like 4 or 5 systems in my brain all at once because that never happens.
Never, ever. Yeah, those are interesting. So the idea that I had, and this is partly due to the fact that I just recently finally got my copy of Emily Gray Moore's The Cunning Folk that I had backed on Kickstarter in the mail this week.
Ooh,
and
nice.
So I'm in the headspace of story-driven, story-forward games, not necessarily anything where outright combat is a goal in the game. It might happen, but if it happens, it'll be incidental. And we're talking about things like fisticuffs rather than like lethal combat.
Yeah. No, I get that too. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
And so the original idea that I had whenever I first pitched this to James was doing something like a court intrigue sort of thing and like a Victorian era, a group of Victorian era gentlemen jockeying for position in court or position in the hierarchy of society. But I had a better idea the longer I thought of it. And my better idea was you are entrepreneurs trying to secure a spot at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair.
That is an amazing setting. I love this setting. There's so much weird stuff that happened. Now, I had to look up what this World Fair was, but looking it up and just the amount of chaos that occurred at this World Fair.
Absolutely.
It's perfect.
There is no reason whatsoever that the Chicago World's Fair should have actually successfully happened. There were
Well, I mean,
so many things that went on
it's
that,
all for various levels of success.
yes, absolutely. You had so many things that happened at Chicago World's Fair. It was the first demonstration of practical electricity use and electric lights. It was the first where the first Ferris wheel was debuted.
That's kind of awesome.
Um,
There was a smallpox outbreak.
there was I think it's H.H. Holmes, I think is the guy's name, America's first serial killer. He bought an apartment building in downtown Chicago and converted it into a hotel, and there are upwards of 100 people that went missing over the course of the Chicago World's Fair, most of them young women who are presumed to have been victims of H.H. Holmes.
Well, I mean, again, you've got a large population. You're going to have a lot of strangers and tourists in this area. And the field of forensics was not even really developing yet at this point. I'm thinking, things from the quote quote era, and you get that like the Johnny Depp Sleepy Hollow feel where everything is very, very, very primitive technology wise.
Yeah, forensics as a science was nearly non-existent still at this point.
Oh, and we had a wildfire.
Oh yes, and there was a massive fire on the grounds of the World's Fair that destroyed a large portion of the main exhibition hall, yes, which I think was a result of an electrical fire.
Yes.
Because this was the first time you had large numbers of buildings that were illuminated by electric lights.
Now, we do miss, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, we just barely missed Prohibition on this one, correct?
I wouldn't say barely. I mean, Prohibition didn't happen for another 20 years, I think.
Was it 20 or 10?
I'm wanting to say 1919 was when Prohibition started. I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've been in an American history class.
Fair, yes. Googling this now, we are consulting the oracles.
We are 1920 to 1933.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. So we were about 25 years off. So, I mean, having a market carny seller selling some, bathtub hooch, because they're making it at home still. I mean, it didn't have to be hidden at this point, but you have, proper breweries and distilleries as well. You are absolutely going to have people from all different walks of life and all over the globe coming to this thing. This also hits that weird meme time frame where you could have, what was it, Abraham Lincoln sending a telegraph to a samurai and a cowboy at the same time or something like that, where you could get these weird, and again, it's the World Fair. All these people would be, I'm not going to say expected to show up, but it wouldn't be unexpected to see them.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the meme. It's a Victorian gentleman, a Wild West gunslinger, a retired samurai, and a French Barbary pirate.
Yes.
Could be a contemporary adventuring party based on the overlap of those time periods.
And this hits that right on the nose.
This is a little bit after that time period. That we're looking for that particular time period. You're looking at 1830 to 1850.
Okay, I thought it was 1850 to like a little after.
But yeah, this is the sort of time. Yeah, the gist of everything. This was Chicago's real bid to become the major city of the Midwest.
Yes.
This was their attempt to become, because at this point they were still viewed as this upstart frontier town. And the new money of Chicago wanted to be seen as having the clout of the old money of New York and Washington and San Francisco. They wanted that prestige. And
San Francisco hadn't developed yet.
Not yet?
No, because again, 1849, San Francisco was developing.
No, 1893 is when the...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the gold rush was in 49. So San Francisco was still... It was developing, but it wasn't huge. I mean, you had the San Francisco fire, but it wasn't.
The fire happened 10 years later. It happened or almost 15 years later. It was in 1909, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Even in 1909, it was a large city, but it wasn't New York level.
Okay,
I wouldn't say. Yeah,
I guess I figured that it had a little more prestige than apparently it did.
It was developing, but it wasn't there quite yet. Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
yeah, definitely like New York, Boston was
Boston,
huge. Yeah,
but
definitely DC.
yeah, they were viewed as this upstart town, and they wanted to establish themselves as a major American metropolis. And
Yes.
this hosting the World's Fair was their bid to do that.
Yeah. Now, again, going with your idea with story driven, I do like this, and my ideas would still fit with that. Going something like, again, whether it be powered by Apocalypse or Cypher or whatever the heck I was envisioning. I was thinking something even like a kids on bike types feel, where again, combat can happen, but it's probably not the thing. But again, it's going to be. Are you getting swindled by a carny? Are you going to be able to blend in or ask, a favor from a group of capital investors? Would you know that the iguana on the stick is actually made of people, referencing Fallout on that one? These kinds of things. And I think what we would need to do first is break down these skills and give a reference to what they actually represent.
Yeah. And I do want to take a minute and talk about mechanics just a little bit longer,
Okay.
because you bringing up kids on bikes would really work very well for this, because we do have 6 stats just like in kids on bikes. So you would have a D20, a D12, a D10, a D8, a D6, and a D4. So you would be able to assign your dice based on which stat you wanted to prioritize as being better at.
Yeah.
And it gives a very straightforward of, okay, you are going to be really good at some things, you're going to be really bad at other things, and you just have to make peace with that. There is no way to power game this to where you are good at everything.
Yeah. And I think a game like this, you want to be bad at things. Because again, given the setting of this World Fair and all of the wonkiness that happened, this game lends itself to being a comedy of errors.
Absolutely. There will be a comedic element to this.
Yes.
And so the other game mechanic that I was thinking of was one, and I'm sure he got it from somewhere else, but I don't remember if he told me what it was. A friend of mine, when I was in school at West Virginia Tech, his name is Travis Wooten, he wrote a game that was actually the first TTRPG I ever played, called Tech of the Dead. Because we
Fun.
were at West Virginia Tech, and it was a zombie survival game.
Okay.
And you had your stats. I can't remember how many stats you had. I think 5 or 6 stats. And you had a certain number of dice that you could assign to your stats. And each die was a d6. And you were rolling to get the highest roll possible. The higher the roll, the more likely you were to succeed. But I think I'm wanting to say that it was 6 stats. And you had 12 dice.
Okay.
So you could assign 2 dice to everything and just go flat across the board. You had to assign at least 1 die to each stat. You could assign, I think, up to 4 dice to one stat if you wanted to. Or you could take 1 die and you could break it down into what he called 3 pips. And each pip just gave you a flat +1 on the stat that you assigned it to. So you could take, let's say you were to take a stat that you had 2 dice in, convert 1 die into pips, and just assign them all back to that skill. Now you have a d6 +3 for every roll that you did.
I like that. That's an interesting balance. I really do.
Yeah, and I've not seen that done anywhere else, which I want to know where he found it or if he developed it himself. I haven't gotten a chance to message him and ask him about it. I haven't talked to him in, God, probably 15 years now. It's been a hot minute. But yeah, that was the mechanical system that I was thinking of. But I honestly think that your suggestion of using the dice system that they use in Kids on Bikes would actually fit a little better for this. It's simpler to implement.
Yes.
And it automatically creates that you're really good in some things and really not good in other things.
Yeah. I like that. No, again, that idea of your friend also reminds me of another game. It's currently, or it was on Xbox Game Pass. I don't know if it's still there or not. It's one of the ones I actually purchased from Games Pass. It's called Dicey Dungeons. And again, it kind of has that collector's card, that kind of camp feel where you would pick up certain skills that you use, and you collected dice as you leveled up, and like each level you got a new d6, and you'd roll your pool of d6s. But like if you were playing a wizard in Dicey Dungeon, you might have magic missile, but you could only cast it if you rolled a 4 on one of the dice, and you had to select that dice for that spell or ability, and then you lost that dice out of your pool. That could be another way to do it if you wanted to build something more like a board game feel, which I would like to do at some point. But for pure tabletop and story driven, yeah, let's go ahead and focus on Kids on Bikes.
Right. Yeah, I think that is going to be the easiest mechanical system of the things that we're thinking of to implement at this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to what you had suggested before I got into mechanics. We need to define our terms.
Absolutely.
We need to define what each of these 6 stats are. And so I went ahead and went to Merriam-Webster and Oxford English Dictionary to define these things so that we can get a better idea of how we want to execute them in game. So starting at the top of the list with gumption. Gumption is initiative, aggressiveness, and resourcefulness.
Okay, so this is going to probably be from right off hearing. This is going to be your quote, quote, bruiser / thug ability. This is going to be maybe intimidation type checks or your way to push through a crowd or not be intimidated. This is you being able to walk through the scary funhouse without missing a beat so far.
I'm also seeing this as your ability to initiate a task.
Okay.
It's your
reflexes?
No, not reflexes per se. I'm not thinking in a confrontational sort of way. I'm thinking in a story-driven sort of way. This is your engaged in an activity and you need to pull away from that activity to start something else.
Okay.
So and gumption is your neurotypical stat. It's your breaking out of hyper-focus stat.
Okay, yeah. So it's like drawing your eye away from the vendor that's selling the new Ginsu knife or Carney pot, or honestly, probably that electricity display would be a great one because I'm sure that drew in a huge crowd. And instead of being just enraptured, your ability to step away and get stuff done.
Right. It's your ability to initiate and carry out your plans.
Okay.
It's your ability to resist the influence of other people.
Okay. What's next?
Next is chutzpah. Chutzpah is shameless audacity or impudence. This is your ability to bold-face lie to people.
Okay. This is you are the carny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the carny, you're the pickpocket, you're going to try to swindle people or misdirect them. Yeah, again, the crowds and vendors at the World Fair, there's going to be a lot of chutzpah.
Yeah, so chutzpah and moxie were both stats in Paranoia, at least in 2nd edition Paranoia when I was playing it. And the way that the 2nd edition book describes chutzpah is it is your ability to kill both your parents and then plead for mercy because you're an orphan.
That is hilarious. I love that as a stat. Yeah, I could definitely work with some chutzpah.
Yeah.
Again, I watched the other weekend on Ian's suggestion, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and oh my God, that was a difficult movie to watch. Mm-hmm. That was rough. Yeah. But Buster Scruggs definitely had some chutzpah going.
Oh, yeah. He had both chutzpah and moxie, which moxie is the next thing that we're getting into. So moxie is courageous spirit and determination or perseverance.
Yeah.
Now that I'm rereading that, I think that this one is probably more of the ability to resist the influence of others.
Yeah, for a 1-to-1, this one I feel would be like a D&D quote, quote, will score. Again, it's that
yes,
being able to focus on your task and your goals without distraction. Which, I mean, that comes back to gumption still giving us, again, a little bit of that physicality. Again, it's still largely mental, but there is definitely a physical component to that.
Yes, there's a physical element to that. Gumption is more of an outward expression of this, whereas moxie is the inward expression of this.
Yes, exactly. Perfect.
Gumption is the extrovert version. Moxie is the introvert version.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So next up is childlike wonder. So this would be awe and curiosity when encountering new things, accompanied with excitement and joy.
This is every halfling ever.
Yes.
It really is. Again, Pippin and Took from Lord of the Rings, if you're a fan of the Dragonlance, all of the Kinders, you do think...
Pippin was Took.
Okay, yeah.
It's
And
Mary and
yeah,
Pippin. That's
Mary
what
and
you're
Pippin,
looking for.
yes, yeah. But again, it's that you do things because you think they're going to be fun and or funny. You give little consideration to possible consequences thereafter. And again, none of it's done with malice. It's just done out of pure impulse.
Yes, impulse is definitely the word that I would use for this. But it is definitely impulse driven by curiosity, not by mischief.
Yes. So in my last semester at ETSU, I had a 3D printing and 3D art class. And there was a gentleman in the class, and for the life of me, I can't remember his name. And this young man, he was in his early 20s, absolutely, unequivocally had undiagnosed ADD. And he would go and just touch everything. He saw everything with his fingers, and it would just, oh, what's that? And he'd run and just go and grab things. And it was just like, it didn't matter where it was or what, it was just curious. And his face would light up, and he'd go and he'd do the thing, and he'd go and check it out. And they're like, oh, and he'd put it down and just kind of like the next second just kind of wander off, and his mind butterflied to whatever. I get that with this. It was so,
Yeah.
he was there, he was clever, but he was so like absent in the present. It was glorious.
Yes, this is the stereotypical autistic kid's fascination with trains.
Yes.
That's the sort of vibe that you get out of that one.
And again, putting this into a World's Fair, you are asking for you are going to lose this character all the time. Your party's going to be going, they're going to turn around, and it's going to be gone. They're just going to like, where'd they go?
Yeah, so I would think that if you had a high childlike wonder stat, perhaps you are more easily able to resist getting sucked in by the other exhibits. Or would it be the other way around, as this is pure chaos gremlin, and this is your ability to get sucked into other exhibits?
This is your ability. So again, for a literary character, you are Curious George.
Yes.
And now we need the man with the yellow hat. The man with the yellow hat would probably have gumption. And again, you're going to need that gumption to get through crowds, to get to and maybe talk down or otherwise rescue your person with childlike wonder. You are probably going to need your person with chutzpah to smooth things over if your person with childlike wonder, happen to stick their head into the funnel cake fountain or the chocolate fountain or, whatever that is. This is definitely going to be that type of interaction.
Yeah. So the man in the yellow hat is also going to have a very high score in the next one, which is the Cut of My Jib.
Yes.
Which is my appearance and demeanor. So this is the first impressions stat. This
Very
is
much.
the what do I exude that affects how other people view me before I even get a chance to talk to them.
Yeah. So again, going off the base of known fictional characters, so far I am seeing Fred from the Scooby-Doo gang would have your gumption. Daphne would have your cut of the jib. Velma would have moxie. Shaggy is kind of all over the board. I don't know that
Shaggy
one.
has childlike wonder.
Shaggy does have childlike wonder, but so does Scooby.
Yeah.
I think Shaggy's going to have the je ne sais quoi, which I think I know what I want to make the je ne sais quoi. And we will address that when we approach it.
Right, yeah. We still need to finish chatting about the Cut of My Jib.
Yeah. But for Cut of the Jib, again, I think if you have the family from wealth, or maybe you've been in that affluent community, you know how to speak eloquently, you've got the fashion, you've got the way to carry yourself that demands attention and presence.
Or you know how to fake it.
Yeah, you can fake it till you make it sometimes. Again, doing some training for work, and they're talking about the importance of dressing proper for the role and situation. And this is one thing I have noticed, and it does weird me out quite a bit. But even here in East Tennessee, on the days that I need to wear a full suit and I'm out walking about, there is a tangible and noticeable difference of reaction with the everyday person and how they interact with me because I'm in a suit. And it's weird because I'm the same
Yeah.
person. I am no different. But people will hold doors. They will get out of my way. It's yes, sir. It's no, sir. If I'm just in my normal, t-shirt and pants, I can be close to invisible at times, except for, the Tourette's. But I can blend in. In my younger days, I used to wear a full-length black duster because it was comfortable and it was like a weighted blanket. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, I could wear that, and people would see me and literally cross the street. I had a more, I guess you'd say, intimidating or ominous presence with
Right.
that. And so, again, the way you dress to affect your surroundings and the people around you.
Yeah, my sister told me a story of one time whenever she needed to go to Lowe's to get something and she wasn't sure where it was in the store. So she took a couple of minutes before she left. She put on a dress and heels and a little bit of makeup, and she was able to get an associate to approach her within 3 minutes and and direct her to where she needed to go.
It works.
It
Um,
does.
the other thing I can think of, and this is an old Facebook post, but it was talking about a cosplayer, and the lady dressed up as the Winter Soldier. And she said she had forgotten something, and she was in her Winter Soldier cosplay, and she was in some combat boots, and she was walking with purpose because she had a place to be. And she talked about how crowds parted for her because she was walking with will and determination. And she was like, and I stopped and realized that sometimes you just got to put on your boots and walk like you know where you're going. And a lot of times that gets you places.
Yeah, that's the whole another instance of a mutual friend of ours. We were having an event in a hotel, a big what's the word I'm looking for? A big class event. It
Was
was
that in Knoxville?
the Known World
Yeah.
event that we did in Knoxville.
Yeah.
And he fell back to something that he learned in the army is that you grab a bucket and you can go wherever you need to go as long as you look like you're supposed to be there.
Right.
Because there was a time whenever the drinks in the concession table, we'd run out of ice. And so he just grabbed the bucket and he walked back into the kitchen and he just filled it up with ice and brought it back out, not realizing that we had to pay for everything. And we ended up not getting billed for the ice because he just went in there and did it instead of asking for people to bring it to us so that it would be counted. But, you see the same thing with the people who are able to just walk into places because they're carrying a ladder or they're carrying a clipboard.
Yeah, walking with a clipboard, that totally, you can slack off at work so much if you just walk around with a clipboard.
I mean, it depends on the job that you're doing and how many people work there. But,
Yes.
like walking into a movie theater. You walk into a movie theater carrying a ladder or, wheeling a mop bucket. You're probably not going to get stopped because you just blend in. It's like, of course they're supposed to be here.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Yeah, so that you can do a lot with the cut of your jib. And I think this is going to work almost like a disguise skill, but not quite.
Yeah.
Again, this is also going to be your ability to deceive, command crowds, things like that. But yeah, I'm thinking Doctor Who with the telepathic
The psychic paper.
the psychic paper, or Axel Foley from Beverly Hills Cop, or wherever he's doing something he's not. He just flashes his badge, and just goes on whatever tangent he needs to, and people just back off on that.
Right, yeah. So I'm thinking Cut of My Jib is nonverbal. It's specifically nonverbal.
Okay.
Whereas chutzpah is where you get the verbal ones.
Yeah.
So just to differentiate between those two, because they do have a bit of overlap if we don't crystallize it and codify it.
I think too, chutzpah is more blatant, where cut of the jib is, I don't want to say underhanded, but more subtle.
Right.
So you can talk both, but yeah, it would be hard to imagine a character that has a high cut of the jib or high chutzpah. Well, I could see a high chutzpah but a low cut of the jib, but I couldn't see a high cut of the jib and low chutzpah because they are going to kind of run together.
Oh, I can absolutely see somebody who has a high cut of my jib and a low chutzpah. That's somebody who dresses the part and feels like they don't have to prove anything.
Okay, yeah, no, I can feel that.
They obviously, they come from money. Obviously, they're of high standing. You can tell by looking at them.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay,
But the instant they have to open their mouth, they crumple like wet tissue paper because they don't have that force of personality behind it.
Yes. Scrappy has the chutzpah.
Oh, Scrappy has so much
That's
chutzpah.
my yes.
Whereas Shaggy is absolutely using chutzpah as his dump stat.
Yes. Yeah, no, I totally feel that. I totally,
Yeah.
totally feel that. Okay.
All right. So that brings us to our last stat, which is a certain je ne sais quoi. And for those of you who don't speak French, je ne sais quoi simply means I don't know what.
There's just
It,
something about the person.
yeah, it is an intangible element.
This is luck.
Yeah.
This is absolutely, and that's why I say Shaggy has that je ne sais quoi where, you sit there, you stumble, you foil the whole trap, you spring it, and then you still catch the ghost slash baddie. Again, despite everything, you snatch victories from the jaws of defeat just because the dice rolled your way.
Right. Yeah. And I'm seeing this one as more of this is a catch-all for
Yeah,
everything that doesn't fit neatly into one of the other ones.
it really is. But like I said, this feels like just being lucky.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that this feels like sort of a luck stat
Yeah.
in a lot of cases. And this is going to be for things where your direct actions aren't really going to affect something one way or the other, but you need to resolve whether one thing or another happens.
I could see that. I could also see, again, you're at the World Fair, a lot of these, carny games and games of chance that are going to pop up. And you're successful more than the average person should be. And a lot of these games may be slighted towards the vendor's favor, and still, not all the time, but still far more than you should, the dice come up or the pips come up for you or the wheel lands on your number unexpectedly. If you were walking through and they were giving away, a prize to the 1,000th person walking through, you'd be the 1,000th person walking in.
Yeah, this would be that scene from Naked Gun
Yes.
where Leslie Nielsen is telling everybody not to panic while the building is exploding in the background.
Yeah.
He would have the je ne sais quoi in that situation.
Yeah,
He would
absolutely.
be, just by pure happenstance, the bad things happen around him, but not to him.
Yes. This also reminds me of when we had our episode of Action 12 Cinema, and I had a character where I picked my trope and it was quote, quote, plot armor. It would be kind of
Yes.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be another good example of that. Yeah.
So
All
yeah, I
right.
think these stats work, and I could definitely see. And honestly, the Scooby Doo gang at the World's Fair sounds hilarious,
It does, doesn't it?
and honestly, would be fitting.
Yeah, especially because it was backed by, a bunch of like the Vanderbilts. I don't think it was Cornelius, I think it was his son, was one of the major financial backers of the World's Fair.
Okay.
Like the main architect who was designing buildings and such for this was approaching Mr. Vanderbilt for a decent amount of money regarding this. And, there are books that describe his traveling back and forth from, I think it was actually from Chicago to Knoxville,
Okay.
because Knoxville was apparently a very big and up and coming city at that particular point too.
Yeah. So again, a lot of the early electricity in the United States was actually produced by the TVA. And again, we're going to jump forward probably almost 40 years. But when they
Yeah.
built Oak Ridge, they specifically built it where they did because it had such an excess of electrical power. And Oak Ridge during the Manhattan Project consisted of 50% of the entire nation's electricity use.
Yeah. And for people who are not aware, Oak Ridge is about 15, 20 miles west southwest of Knoxville.
Yeah.
It's basically just outside of Knoxville.
Yeah. So you got that. I don't think Tesla was in the United States yet, but Edison probably would be, especially with the electricity thing, if not directly involved, probably snooping around.
Yeah.
Trying to think of other historical, people or events that we could shoehorn into this thing.
Well, I'm trying to remember. The Magic Kingdom actually made its debut at the Chicago World's Fair, and it was
with Disney.
No, Walt Disney's father was one of the carpenters who was building everything.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so child Walt Disney walking through the Chicago World's Fair, a lot of the stuff that you see at Disney World and at Disneyland, the
Magic Kingdom and all that.
not I'm trying to
Main
think.
Street USA.
Yeah, Main Street USA. The where Space Mountain is.
That's Disneyland, but I can't think of. Disneyland is just the one park. Are you thinking Epcot?
No, it's part of the whole complex in Florida, and I think it's in Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
It's in the Magic Kingdom Park,
Park, yeah. And
but
then you've got sections
it's
within
like
the park.
it's the futuristic one.
Oh, Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland, yes,
Okay, yes.
Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland was heavily influenced by Walt Disney's recollections and remembrances of walking through the Chicago World's Fair.
I could feel that. Yeah. No, I've only been to Disney World once, but it definitely had that kind of old World Fair. I got Fallout vibes again because I hadn't been to a World Fair, but it kind of reminded me of going through like the old vaults when you're exploring as a
Yeah,
as a vault dweller. Yeah, no, I could definitely feel that.
I've been back playing a little bit of Fallout 4 recently, and I've finally gotten into the Nuka World DLC.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm getting that as well from that, because the park that I went to first, I think was it Galaxy World? It's the space age themed one it's got all the robotic attendants, and there's a Vault Tech exhibit where you go through a model vault.
Okay.
And they're talking about, space colonization and stuff in there.
I'm going to speak the heresy. Prepare yourself. I was vastly disappointed with Fallout 4, so I didn't play any of the DLC. I played through once, and I've thought about playing again, but I was really disappointed with 4, so I've only, like I said, I only played through the one time.
I prefer the mechanics of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas.
Yes.
To Fallout 4.
Yes.
I still refuse to play Fallout 76 because my ideal Fallout experience is single player.
Yeah.
I don't want to play Fallout with other people.
No.
Especially not in a world where they may have changed this, but from what I understood when the games came out, it was not opt-in world PvP.
Oh.
Like,
yeah,
there was no PvE mode where you just turn things off, so like people could come and raid your campsite while you were logged out and things like that. And I'm like, no, that is the worst type of multiplayer game.
Yeah, I get that. But coming back here, so again, we can do a lot of, again, all kinds of story hooks for this World Fair. Whether you want to do something campy like Scooby-Doo, honestly, was it H.H. Holmes?
Yeah, H.H. Holmes.
You could really make this I don't want to say grimdark, but you could do like a murder mystery or even like a vampire type thing, or do something kind of spoopy for upcoming spoopy season because, oh Lord, it's a-coming. I'm excited. You could do something, again, straight kids on bikes because, again, there's going to be a lot of kids and there's going to be a lot of, childlike wander stuff going on here. Again, trying to get a spot at the fair. Are you trying to get a vending booth? What are you trying to vend or sell? It would be more difficult to run it as player versus player on the table where everyone's trying to get a leg up on each other. But if you've got a functional party where they can play the game well but still have inter-party conflict, like I'm thinking in the Alien RPG, every character has a secret quote mission or task they are trying to perform that they depend on the experience and level up they get if they make progress towards this goal. And that goal can be at times contrary to the goals and needs of the party members. And you could definitely do something along those lines too if you had a rogues gallery of gentlemen at the World's Fair.
Yeah, you could absolutely do this this is a group of people working together to try and get their collective project included in the World's Fair.
Yes.
This could be a group of people who are working one of the exhibits. This could be people who are in charge of different aspects of maintenance and construction and groundskeeping and the various things that they're going to run into as part of the game or as part of the World's Fair. There are a whole bunch of different options that you could have narrative-wise. I mean, you could have it be a straight historical recreation piece. You could add all manner of fantastical or supernatural elements to this.
Yes.
And because we're not really statting out in a way where your stats are going to be, critical for conflict with other things, this is going to be story driven. And so the degree of success or failure that you have with the results that you get for whatever you attempt is going to drive the story and is going to determine in a more abstract way whether or not you succeed in what you're trying to do.
Yeah. So I've got another idea. Hold with me.
Okay.
Because it still fits the time frame.
Yeah.
Have you seen Moulin Rouge?
I have not watched Moulin Rouge, but I am familiar with the story and concepts behind Moulin Rouge.
Okay, one, you need to sit down and watch Moulin Rouge. This needs to happen because it's amazingly well done. But
Kate would probably agree with you.
This troupe from Moulin Rouge is trying to find a space for their troupe so they can act. But again, I can't remember the gentleman that owns it. He definitely has the whole cut of the jib. You've got, and again, I'm blanking all the actors. One of them definitely has a childlike wonder. You've got Moxie. But again, it is this collection of misfits. And the music's great in it too. But it is very, like, their stuff works, but only barely. And they're all very flamboyantly into themselves and their art, and everything is very quote quote Bavarian. Again, it's a wonderful movie, but I totally get the feel like this troupe would be perfect for this World's Fair.
Yeah, this screams circus sideshow.
It really does.
Yeah, it does. And that also, plays into some of the exhibits that were in place at the World's Fair. There were a great many exhibits that in today's day and time would be considered hugely politically incorrect and hugely problematic. So like, African tribesmen coming in and being forced to, basically be spectacle, as well as I know that there were a number of Inuit tribesmen who were brought in for the same reason. All of this fetishizing the other cultures, the other non-Western cultures, the quote-quote savage cultures.
Yeah, it would have the feel of like a Roman triumph at that point almost. The Romans brought in a lot of things. If you want to go, again, more horror aspect, I'm thinking I believe it was season 4, was the freak show season of American Horror Story, where they talk about the carnies and they were the freak show people and all of the interactions that go there. Was a fairly good season, but again, you could do that American Horror Story vibe. Now, again, that was set in, I think, the 1930s or 40s, so that's a bit further ahead, but you could just dial the time back and a lot of the characters would still work.
Yeah, you had a similar sort of thing happening in season 3 of Old Gods of Appalachia.
Yeah.
Where they had Jack on trial under the mountain, and they're doing the flashback stories, specifically with the werewolf children.
Okay.
Because they all came together in a traveling carnival show by hook and by crook, mostly by crook. But yeah, there are a number of pieces of media that you can draw inspiration from that I think you would be able to make a decent game using the outline that we've come up with today.
Yeah, I think we've built a really, really strong framework. I would like to stick a pin in this and come back and revisit and actually probably flesh out some scenarios further. I think, again, this has a lot of potential, and given our time and resources, because Lord knows we have a ton of both. This
absolutely.
This would definitely be something that I think if we could flesh out, we could probably get up and functional, much like Kicking the Nest and It Is Well With My Soul.
Yeah. All Is Well With My Soul is basically done. I just have to finish the layout, and layout sucks.
Yeah, well, I think we're at the same place with Kicking the Nest as well.
It's not quite as fleshed out.
Okay. I mean, we've
just because it's more involved. Yeah, we've play tested it, so mechanically it's done.
Okay.
It's the getting everything put together to make it a usable module for people who don't have everything in their heads already.
I need to be telepathic. Oh, God. Imagine the world if I was telepathic.
That would be terrifying, James.
It would be.
Especially with you're having Tourette's.
Tourette's, exactly.
All of a sudden, you'd have 7 billion people in the world just Twitch Diggy Mow all of a sudden.
Yes. See, I could have been a supervillain. The universe limited me so hard. So close.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's good. I think that we've got definitely something to work with here. Something that our listeners, if they are interested in game design, a decent framework for them to start from, to build from, to come up with some interesting ideas of their own, to take it in their own way. But yeah, I think this could have potential.
It really does.
Who knows? Maybe we'll get it done enough to play test it for an anniversary game one year.
That would be a lot of fun.
Maybe not this year, but maybe next year.
Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah, because
I may forget about it come October and, we'll never hear of it again.
Yeah, I was going to say, our anniversary show's coming up in an episode or two. We're getting really close to year 5.
Actually, we're getting ready to wrap up
Year 5, yeah.
Year 5, yeah. So anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. It's a little bit shorter episode, but I like that because that means it's easier for me to edit it.
And really, this is probably about the length we want to shoot for most times anyway. And then we see the shiny things with scales and we're like, oh, look pretty.
Yeah, we've been getting a little long lately and we need to dial it back in a little bit. But yeah, so thank you everyone for listening. If you have any comments, suggestions, or ideas, send us an email, undercommontaste@gmail.com, or come join us on our Discord. You can find a link to our Discord along with links to our Patreon and our itch store on our website, undercommontaste.com. A little bit of a side note, on the day that this is coming out, I will be in the car driving to Indianapolis for Gen Con.
Woohoo!
I'm really excited. We were going to go and do Gen Con in 2020, and then this little bug showed up and ruined all of our plans.
It ruined so many plans.
It did. It really did. Luckily, we hadn't bought our tickets yet, so we didn't have to worry about getting reimbursements or, fighting through trying to figure out how, because I'm pretty sure that they went digital that year.
Oh,
and
okay.
they did everything online, and I don't even want to fathom how you make a con that big go digital. Just the infrastructure and the man hours that had to go into making that happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to be up at Gen Con. I've got a couple of games that I've signed up for. So if you are also going to be at Gen Con, come in, join our Discord, and chat with us so that maybe I can meet up with you, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to meet some of our listeners. It'd be a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
won't be there, but Ian would love to meet you guys. If this is your first time listening to us, we're very happy you found us. You can find our other episodes where we talk about more traditional homebrew world building from like D&D, things like that. You can follow our current series on dragons, or you can find some of our other games and ideas that we've created in the past. Just search Under Common Taste on your podcatcher of choice.
So stay safe, everyone, and we will see you all again in 2 weeks.
Happy gaming.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Under Common Taste. Our theme song is Massacre Ann, written and performed by Mary Kroll and used with permission. You can find Mary online at marykroll.bandcamp.com or on Patreon at patreon.com/Dr. Mary C. Kroll. Our logo is by David Sutherland. You can find more of David's work on deviantart.com/David Sutherland or on instagram.com/Willex_73. We'll be back in 2 weeks, so stay safe, and we'll see you then.